We are on chapter 6. Chapter 6, book of Ecclesiastes. Put us almost halfway done. This is a short chapter, very short. It's going to be one video. I know how happy that makes you. Chapter 6. Maybe you see this person with a kayak there on the Saishla River. I have seen another evil under the sun. I have seen another evil under the sun, and it weighs heavily, heavy, H-E-A-V-Y, heavy on mankind. God gives some people wealth. Now, oh boy, you better listen to this. If you got any money at all, if you got over $25,000, you better listen very carefully. Because you're fighting against God, and this tells you why. I'm going to mark this in my Bible here. You're fighting against God. You're not fighting against capitalism or the system or the government or your business or your boss or the banks. You're fighting against God here. Watch. God gives some people wealth, possessions, and honor so that they lack nothing their hearts desire. Now hang on. But God does not grant them the ability to enjoy everything He's given them, and strangers enjoy them instead. This is meaningless, a grievous evil. I've talked about this many times, and I told you we would be seeing most of these things in the book of Ecclesiastes. God gives. Okay, so do you believe that God is in charge of who gets what? Or do you believe it's by your own hand? My own hand decides what I get, man. Do you believe that God decides who gets what? Specifically detailed down to the last penny? That's what I believe, just what the Bible teaches us, that a man can't have nothing outside of the hand of God. So God gives some people. Now this does not say all wealthy people. He gives some people money, possessions, and honor. They lack nothing their hearts desire, but God does not let them enjoy any of it. Why? Why would God do that? Well, God's not really the one doing it. God does the giving, and the man does the taking. And the man does the evil. Now listen. This is meaningless, a grievous evil. Period. That's verse 1 and 2. Why is it a grievous evil? Because the man is the one doing the evil. Now, what do you mean evil? God gave him everything his heart desired. Yes. However, why did God stop him from enjoying any of it? Now, pay attention. Those of you who are about to go out and get everything you think you desire, and then you're not following God. Aha! There's the key right there to open the door of enjoyment. It says, I will not allow them to enjoy any of it because they did not follow my Son, Jesus Christ, and become saved. I am telling you, I know poor people who are saved who are 100 times happier than rich people who are not saved. They're not saved. There's that kayak out there just floating around. That must be fun. So they're not saved. Now, I'm going to say you don't get anything in this world without God. You just think you do. You think, well, I work, then I get it, and then I keep it. No. You don't even have air in your lungs without God. Your heart doesn't beat without God. So here's a person who has spent 30 or 40 or 50 years getting everything their heart's desired. And they keep thinking, one day I'll have enough to be happy. And they don't realize, because they've never read the Bible in detail, line by line, word by word, like we do in these studies. I've never skipped a line in 10 months on these books. I think I've gone 24 books now, or 25 books or something. Yeah, we've gone through 25 books in the Bible in 10 months. This channel almost has a million views now. I'll make a video about it when I get to 1 million views. That's pretty good for 10 months' work. But here's the thing. You're going to accumulate all that stuff, and you forgot the first step to become saved first. Well, the funny thing is, once you become truly saved, you won't want half of the stuff that you think you want anymore. Okay, now listen. Verse 3. A man may have 100 children and live many years. Yet no matter how long he lives, if he cannot enjoy his prosperity and does not receive proper burial, I, King Solomon, say that a stillborn child is better off than he. It comes without meeting the child. It departs in darkness, and in darkness its name is shrouded. Though it never saw the sun nor knew anything, it has more rest than does that man. See, saying a stillborn child, where does that child go? Immediately up to heaven with God, because the child never even had a day on the earth. So God completely, makes that child, a new body, now I'm not saying this happens right away, but makes them like an older person. They understand everything. They see everything that they were supposed to be. That's a good way to put it. God gives them everything they were supposed to be, but they died at birth. But then 2 minutes later, they're in heaven with Jesus, being comforted for all eternity. He's saying, but if a man lives to be 500 years old, like in the Old Testament, has 100 children, but doesn't enjoy any of it, that man is more miserable than the stillborn child who is now with Jesus, enjoying eternity and rest and peace. And this is really only a problem in America. If you study how peoples around the world live, in Russia, they don't live this way. In Russia, they're more concerned about their family, the place they live in, and their food, and their holidays, and their work. Just like the Bible says. You go to China, they might make $400 or $500 a month. They're concerned about their families, their food, obeying the laws, and the place they live and their children. That's it. Same thing in India. Well, India is starting to be very concerned. They thought that China was going to be the next greatest capitalist society. No, it's going to be India. India is going to be the next greatest capitalism. So if you got something to sell, move to India and sell it. They got 1 billion people trying to buy stuff now in India, and almost all their wages have doubled. They're in the process of changing the whole system in India. You go to Mexico and South America, they're not that concerned about money. They're more concerned about family, work, and food. And most Mexicans and most South Americans believe in Jesus. At the rapture, the majority of Mexico and South America will be raptured, in my opinion, because those people, they all carry crosses around. They wear crosses. They believe in Jesus. They believe everything they were told about Jesus. They read their Bibles. Oh, yeah. Even if he lives 1,000 years twice over, but fails to enjoy his prosperity, do not all go to the same place. See, we all go to the grave is what it's saying. We all will end up dead in the grave. So, you know, I believe our lives, I'm not making this up. I've always believed this since I've become a Christian. That I believe our lives are cut short in America because of capitalism. You know, the average American lives 75 years. Well, the average American lives about 60 good years and then starts falling apart. Why? Well, because of the things money can buy you. Rich foods, junk foods, creams, donuts, sugar. America's like one big, huge sugar shack. Oh, yeah. America's like one deli, one diner after another. America's all about fats and creams and sugars. America's all about money and wealth and profit. And I believe that God is cutting our lives shorter in America. I mean, look, all over Indonesia, people are living to be 100 years old. In Japan, they have an entire city where the average person is around 100 years old. This small village. You can look it up. What do they eat? They eat a little bit of chicken or beef, some noodles, and all vegetables. That's what they eat every single day. And then they have the Oriental tea and water, but they don't put sugar in their tea. They put spices in it. I had to stop the video. This older couple was bird watching down here. Now look, they're 75 years old. What are they doing? Let's say they got $1 million. They're bird watching. How much does that cost? 2 pairs of binoculars. That's it. That's all they're doing today. They go home and get a little lunch. Now, they weren't from around here, so I told them about Honeyman State Park, where all the eagles and birds and stuff are now, osprey. They said, oh, and I said, it's only 3 miles away. I told them, they said, we'll go there right now. So I talked them into going down there. So let's say they collected $1 million, like all of you are trying to do out there. But what are they doing with their retirement? They wake up in the morning and they say, honey, don't forget your binoculars. We got to go look at some birds today. And the wife says, oh, how exciting. And then they get a little sandwich when they get at home and they're done for the day. They have $1 million sitting there, but they spent $30 today on their retirement. That's why I keep telling you, everybody I know that's retired says, I wish I would have started 10 years earlier when I was 52 years old. I found out you don't need as much money as you think. You don't need a new car. You don't need a new anything. And that's what God's saying here. a man who spends his whole life gathering wealth, and then God says the worst thing you'd ever want to hear: I'm not going to allow you to enjoy it. What? You're not going to allow me to enjoy it? I just worked 40 years for this, Lord. Of course, they don't say Lord, because that's the whole problem right there. So God is trying to tell you that capitalism has a lot of negatives, a lot of traps, a lot of pitfalls. It seems pretty weird that a man could literally work his entire life. A man could work his entire life and never enjoy anything he worked for. Wow. And that's what it says. God does not allow it. God will not allow it to happen. Why? Because the man put God aside and chose money first. How many times do we say in this these Bible studies, no one can serve two masters, the Bible teaches. No one can serve both God and money. If you're serving money, you're not serving God. And you need to know that. All go to the grave. So there's a saying, we'll get to it in Proverbs. Lord, don't give me too much and don't give me too little. Give me just enough so I glorify your name. Don't give me too much or I'll forget who you are. Don't give me too little, or I may steal and dishonor the name of the Lord. Give me just enough so I will rely upon the Lord every day and glorify his name. That's what one of the writers, the prophets, or whatever you want to say, said in the book of Proverbs. Verse 7, everyone's toil is for their mouth, yet their appetite is never satisfied. Wow. That's right. Have you ever thought of overeating as greed? I've just learned this lesson recently myself. Overeating is greed, just like overspending. Over-consuming is greed. Doing anything too much really comes down to greed and lust for yourself. What advantage have the wise over fools? What do the poor gain by knowing how to conduct themselves before others? Better what the eye sees than the roving of the appetite. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Better what the eye sees than the roving of the appetite. He's saying, better to see your wife than have your eyes always looking at other women. Better to see the $10 in your pocket instead of the $100 that you're always trying to get. Better to sit here like at the river, sit here and enjoy the day. Stay here 3 or 4 hours. Enjoy the river. Go home. This is what the eye sees, instead of saying, oh, I should go here, do this, do that. I should get something else. I've always said this is my own words. The worst man, if I were to write a book in the Bible, this would be one of my first verses. The worst man to have ever lived upon the face of the earth is the man with no contentment with the things God has already given to him. The man who has no contentment or pleasures with the things God has already given to him. He's always looking for more, searching for more. His eyes are always going back and forth. His wallet is always open. He has a hole burning in his pocket, meaning he has to spend his money. No matter what he eats, he's never satisfied with that food. He wants more, something different. Like all these food channels on, TV, which I do not watch TV, but they come out of TV first. All these food channels trying to convince people, oh, the best way to cook toast, oh, blah, blah, blah. Just cook the damn toast and eat it and turn off the TV. I mean, seriously. If you're watching food channels, you have no imagination on how to go outside, get a bicycle, and ride around. Whatever exists has already been named, and what humanity is has been known. That's the thing. Whatever exists has already been named. Do you notice in this society, this modern society, we don't name anything? It's already been named thousands of years ago. For example, tree. A tree has always been called a tree. Now, scientists in America, we like to come up with special names for our trees. Sky has been named sky. Clouds. Water is water. Ground is ground. Elephant is elephant. They've been named already thousands of years ago. Now listen to the second half here. And what humanity is, what man and woman is already, has already been known. Why? We are not doing anything new in today's society. It looks like we are. Now let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind. Artificial intelligence. What I'm about to say to you is going to blow your mind because I've lived longer than you and I know what's happening. I saw the TV go to the VCR, then go to the cable, then go to the 1,000-channel network, and then go to digital, then go to these amazing TVs. And then I saw the TV replaced by the computer. Now listen. Why is this happening? Well, I believe two reasons. Number one, the devil's using men to distract themselves away from God. And number two, it's all about profit. Now listen, artificial intelligence is about to replace your TV, your cell phone, your computer, everything. Artificial intelligence is going to replace everything you have, including your automobile. If it goes 20 years, it will. Now, let me tell you why. This should make you angry. Didn't you just spend a lot of money on a TV? And now they want to replace it and have you spend twice as much on the new item? You remember when they turned off the old channels? You couldn't even... They turned off all the channels and forced you to go to a new system. Okay, so now they're pushing 5G and all the other 2G, 3G, 4G is out. I mean, it's getting pushed out. Well, didn't you just buy a nice car? And now artificial intelligence wants you to buy something else twice as much? Doesn't that make you angry that every time you get something set, every 10 years they change it? They change it to a new product that you must have. And they charge you twice as much for the new product. Now, they got an Apple iPhone 15 or whatever it is. They said, for all the artificial and the AI features to work, you must now own the new latest version of Apple iPhone. Walk away, my friends. Walk away. Walk away. Go buy a nice sharp axe. Go buy 2 acres in northern Arizona. Go up there and get some trees and start building yourself a small cabin. You will get more, and start serving the Lord. You will get more out of life. You will get more out of life. You can live 7 months in northern Arizona. And then when it snows, now I mean northern, up above the Grand Canyon to the northeast of the Grand Canyon, they're still selling land for $3,000 an acre. And you can live there for 7 months, and then when it snows, you can pack everything up and come to the Oregon coast and live for 5 months where it doesn't snow. It just rains, and you can just hang out there. Or you could just go to southern Arizona and hang out in the desert for 5 months, just 4 hours south of your land. They're about to, what artificial intelligence is going to do, and I'm trying to actually make you angry. Because anger brings results. It was a blue heron crane just went by. Anger brings results. You think the blue heron crane cares about artificial intelligence? No. You think the robin that's in your yard right now cares? No. Doesn't care. Or the sparrow doesn't care. Listen, they're about to tell you nothing you own will work if you don't have the new artificial intelligence. And it's only going to be about $200 a month for everything. They are going to screw you over in the name of God? No. In the name of prophets? Yes. Money. We're almost done. Whatever exists has already been named, and what humanity is has already been known. No one can contend with someone who is stronger. The more the words, the less the meaning. And how does that profit anyone? For who knows what is good for a person in life, whether the few and meaningless days they pass through this life like a shadow. Who can tell them what will happen under the sun after they are gone? That's the end of chapter 6. So I'm going to wrap this up here. That chapter was about you can work your entire life and God's hand will come against you and never once allow you to enjoy any of it. And what I told you about technology is true. You know, you obviously know this, but in the cars they sell today, they're so computerized. If something's wrong with the car, they just download a new program into your automobile today. Wow. Pretty soon they will be shutting your automobiles off. Yes, they will. They'll be saying, you've already driven your allotted miles for the week. Would you like to purchase more miles? Ho, 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 ho. Would you like to purchase more miles? Go to www.governmenttaxsystem.org to purchase more miles. Your tax dollars will help build the roads for all Americans. I hope you heard exactly what I just said. They're going to make you pay for the miles you drive. And you know how that's about to go. Do you know when they started the first tax system in America, it was 2%? This was back during colonial days, like 200 years ago. They did 2%, and they promised it would never, ever be more than 2%. Today, a rich man pays 60% taxes, and a poor man pays 20%. The poorest person working pays 20%, 10 for federal and 10 for state. So, again, here's a chapter in the book of Ecclesiastes giving you a choice. Follow God and receive everything you will need, including enjoyment and pleasure. Follow the world, go against God, and He will allow you to work and sweat and collect everything you have and never once enjoy any of it. That's right. What's the point? Because I've told you in several recent Bible studies, your greatest asset is God, and your second greatest asset is time. No, health. It's your health. And your third greatest asset is time. Time. Your time. Because one day your time's going to be up. Like we just read, all have the same destination. Black, white, good, poor, rich, good or evil. Those who follow God, those who follow the devil, the world. We all have the same destination. That's the grave. It's the grave. Following God, the things of God do not make you sick. The things of the world make us sick. You know, I've always said this. The Bible says don't ever put tattoos on your body. It's in the Bible. It says don't ever put marks on your body of any kind. Okay. Now, some people became tattooed and then they received salvation later in life. That's fine. But those tattoos are still harming them. Now, they just came out with a news article today. They just found out that tattoos are now contributing to several different kinds of diseases. When you have your whole body inked like that, it eventually contributes to you being sick in your old age. And the Bible warned about it. The Bible saw a day where people would write and put permanent ink all over themselves. Yep. And now people are paying the price. Now, they used to do this in Egyptian days too. Put permanent ink marks all over their bodies. So, let me finish with this. Every evil society, every single evil society throughout history, throughout the whole Bible, even the ones that aren't in the Bible, just the ones we know about historical history, they all have the same characteristics every evil society does. False gods, and I'm putting these in order. The Bible says false gods, number 1, sexual immorality, number 2, and gluttony of foods, number 3. False gods, sexual immorality, gluttony of food. What do you see in America today? False gods, sexual immorality everywhere you go, and gluttony of foods. And then everything else comes, like smoking, drinking, comes out of gluttony of foods. False gods, meaning money, wealth, come with big houses, big cars. You know, you call your car a chariot. You own a $70,000 chariot that takes your big butt to the store so you can buy more stuff to make your butt bigger. Now, I can talk like that because I'm not a minister, I'm not a preacher, and I'm not a Bible teacher. No. So I'm telling you the way it is. I don't have a church, and I don't rely on donations from any of you. So I could say the way it is. I don't have to tiptoe around you in fear that you might not donate this week. No, I don't need your money. I will never need your money. I would never take 5 cents from one person out there. Nope. I would never take it. Never take it. So I'm telling you, false gods, sexual immorality, gluttony of foods. Everything else comes out of that. The false gods produces housing, wealth, money, stock market. You know, the stock market dropped 1,000 points in 3 days. So those of you out there with your 401ks and everything, you think, oh, it's only going to go up and up and up and up. That's funny. The stock market dropped 1,000 points in 3 days. And you think you're in control of it. There's going to come a time where your house is literally going to drop 40% in value in a month in this country. And you're not even going to understand what happened. False gods. Every evil society that rejects God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit of the Bible. False gods. Sexual immorality. Gluttony of foods. So only 45% are born-again Christians in America now. So 55% follow false gods in America. Sexual immorality. 70% of all people look at pornography on the internet in America. And gluttony of foods. 80% of Americans are gluttonous when it comes to food. And I will end with this one line. What has happened to every single one of those societies? They all fell and they don't exist anymore. They're not even on the earth. They all fell. God is still here, but all those societies are no longer to be found. What do you think is going to happen to America shortly? How much longer do you think God will put up with this?